He thought stealing my dream would make him win her heart, but he forgot who built that dream in the first place. I didn't scream, I didn't fight, I just smiled. And that smile ended both of them. Asterisk the night I discovered the betrayal. It was raining, the kind of cold, steady rain that seeps through windows and bones alike. My laptop screen glowed dimly against the shadows of my small studio, filled with half-finished sketches, fabric samples, and dreams too fragile to touch. I had just received an email from a Paris client. Congratulations to Ryan and his new designer, Leila Moore, for the breathtaking Aurora collection. My fingers froze above the keyboard, my chest tightened, and when I clicked on the attachments, the air left my lungs. Asterisk, every single design was mine. The same lines I'd drawn at 2 in the morning, the same signature embroidery that only I could stitch, the same notes, the same concept, the same everything, only now they had someone else's name printed at the bottom. Leila Moore, Ryan's supposed business contact. Asterisk for a moment, I didn't move. My reflection in the screen looked foreign, hollow-eyed, pale, and trembling. My heart pounded so loudly it drowned out the sound of rain. It wasn't just the theft that shattered me. It was the realization that the man I loved had handed my soul's work to someone else, and smiled while doing it. Asterisk Ryan and I had built everything together. A Ryan atelier, a small design studio. We'd dreamed up in the corner of our old apartment when we had nothing but faith and a second-hand sewing machine. He believed in me when no one else did. At least, that's what I used to think. We were a team. I handled the designs, the artistry. He dealt with clients, investors, and deals. For years, it worked beautifully, until the day success began to whisper in his ear. Asterisk. The Aurora collection was supposed to be my statement to the world, my story of rebirth. Each gown symbolized light after despair, beauty after pain. I poured my heart into it. Every cut, every color, every silhouette reflected a piece of my journey. I'd stayed up countless nights, bleeding creativity, fueled by nothing but coffee and love. Ryan would pass by my desk sometimes, kiss the top of my head, and say, "You're going to change everything, Ava." I never realized he meant it literally. When I finally managed to close the email, my body was shaking. I wanted to cry, to scream, to throw everything across the room, but something inside me froze instead. A cold calmness settled where my pain had been. That was the moment I realized I didn't want revenge through chaos. I wanted something quieter, sharper. Asterisk, I called him that night, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. "Hey," I said softly. "How's the project going?" Asterisk, he chuckled, that same confident tone that used to make me melt. "Oh, exhausting." He sighed, "But it's going to be worth it, babe. I can feel it. Leila's helping me with the business presentation. You'd like her." Asterisk, my throat burned. "Leila," I smiled faintly, forcing my tone to stay light. "I'm sure I would." Asterisk, he kept talking about opportunity, fame, expansion. He didn't know that with every word, the image I had of him, the kind, ambitious dreamer I fell for, was dying. By the time he said goodnight, I had already decided what I'd do. Asterisk the next few days. I played the role of the supportive partner. I texted him, wished him luck, even sent him sketches I'd just been working on. Little did he know, those files contained digital watermarks embedded with my copyright information, each one carrying timestamps and encrypted signatures. I wasn't just hurt anymore, I was preparing. Asterisk, by the time Paris Fashion Week came around, the world was buzzing about Leila Moore's visionary designs. I watched the live coverage quietly from my small apartment, the glow of the TV reflecting in my tired eyes. My designs, my work, walked that runway draped over models, under bright, stolen lights. Ryan and Leila stood at the end of the stage, hand in hand, smiling as cameras flashed around them. Asterisk, but beneath the applause, I knew what they didn't, that every photo taken, every clip recorded, every article written would soon carry my proof, my name. Asterisk the next day, I booked a flight to Paris. Alone. Asterisk, when I arrived at the venue for the showcase's final day, no one recognized me. I wore a simple black dress, hair tied back, expression unreadable. I sat in the last row, unseen among the elite crowd. Ryan and Leila entered the stage again, glowing under the spotlights, the applause deafening. The judges praised the designs for their originality, their symbolism, the very soul of what I'd once created out of pain and hope. Asterisk then, as the final sequence began and the lights dimmed for the closing act, I made my move. The event's technical manager received an urgent file correction request that morning, a revised video, supposedly from Leila's team, scheduled to play right before the final walk. In reality, it was from me. Asterisk, the screens flickered. The music paused. Then, sketch after sketch began to flash across the giant screen. Digital drawings signed by Ava Carter. Timestamped, backed by official design software metadata. Each design matched the dress currently walking down the runway. Asterisk whispers filled the room. Leela froze mid. Ryan's confident smile faltered as confusion rippled through the audience. Reporters began taking pictures, murmuring my name. Asterisk, and then, the screen changed, showing my email exchange with the Paris client, revealing the moment I discovered the theft. It ended with a simple line. Some lights don't shine when stolen. The silence that followed was heavier than thunder. Leela stumbled off stage. Ryan tried to speak, but the audience had already seen too much. The head judge stood, calling for an immediate review. Within minutes, both were escorted backstage. The show was halted. Sponsors began whispering into their phones. Cameras turned to me, the woman in the last row, sitting quietly with a small, cold smile. Asterisk, Miss Carter, one of the organizers asked breathlessly, "Are you claiming these are your designs?" Asterisk, I stood slowly, straightened my shoulders, and said softly, "I'm not claiming, I'm proving." Asterisk, the crowd erupted flashes, murmurs, disbelief. I walked out of that hall not as a victim, but as the woman who'd turned betrayal into power. Asterisk, that night, social media exploded. Designer exposed for stealing work. Ava Carter reclaims stolen collection. The fashion board issued a public statement suspending Ryan and Leela indefinitely from future events pending investigation. Their sponsors dropped them before dawn. Asterisk, meanwhile, I sat in my hotel room, looking out over the Paris skyline. I should have felt joy, triumph, but what I felt was peace, the kind that comes after a storm finally dies. Asterisk, Ryan had given my dream to someone else, but I hadn't lost, I'd simply rebuilt it stronger. Asterisk, as dawn broke over the city, I caught my reflection in the window, calm, composed, unbroken. Asterisk, I smiled coldly to myself, whispering, "You thought you buried me, Ryan. But I was the seed." Asterisk, and I knew, even then, this was only the beginning. Asterisk. They thought destroying me would make them shine brighter, but sometimes, the fire you start burns only you. I never touched them again, yet they lost everything. Asterisk, the scandal spread faster than wildfire. By morning, the internet was flooded with clips from the show, screenshots of the designs, and headlines filled with shock. Lovers' fashion fraud exposed. Ava Carter's genius stolen. Within hours, Ryan and Leela were no longer the golden couple of Paris Fashion Week. They were the thieves everyone loved to hate. Asterisk, I watched it all unfold quietly from my hotel balcony, the city of lights stretching below me like a dream that finally belonged to me again. My phone buzzed non-stop interviews, collaborations, partnership offers, but I answered none. I didn't need to speak. The truth had already done that for me. Asterisk, that same morning, Ryan called. His voice trembled when I finally picked up. "Ava, please. It's not what you think." Asterisk, I let him speak. His words poured out like poison, excuses, regrets, manipulations, dressed as apologies. Leela said, "We should just use your concepts temporarily. I was going to tell you after the show, I swear. You know I'd never hurt you intentionally." Asterisk, my silence made him panic. "Ava, say something, please." Asterisk, finally, I did. My voice was calm, almost detached. "You didn't just steal designs, Ryan. You stole years of my life, my nights, my faith. You took what I built with love and turned it into a tool for betrayal." Asterisk, he broke down on the phone. I listened until his sobs turned into silence. Then, softly, I said, "You'll remember this call every time you see a light you can't reach." And I ended it. Asterisk, after that, I disappeared from his world completely. I moved back home, cut all ties, and began rebuilding from the ashes, not just my brand, but myself. There was something strangely liberating about starting over. I changed the name of my label to Phoenix Atelier, a symbol of rebirth, rising from what was meant to destroy me. I poured every ounce of strength and heartbreak into new designs that spoke of power, forgiveness, and survival. Asterisk, months passed. My studio came alive again, this time with new faces, new energy, and a new kind of purpose. I learned to smile without bitterness, to design without pain. Every stitch became therapy, every new piece a victory. But the world has a way of circling back. 6 months later, during the International Design Expo in Milan, I was invited to showcase my latest collection, Resurgence. It was the moment every designer dreams of. A grand runway, elite critics, and flashing cameras. I stood backstage, nerves trembling through me. Yet there was peace in knowing I'd made it here by myself. Asterisk. When the first model stepped onto the stage, wearing my design, a white gown embroidered with rising flames in gold, the audience fell silent. Then came applause, soft at first, then growing like thunder. By the time the final piece walked, I could barely hear the music over the standing ovation. Tears stung my eyes, but this time, they were warm, healing ones. Asterisk. After the show, I stepped outside for a moment of quiet, breathing in the cool Italian night air, and then, I saw them. Asterisk. Across the street, standing beneath a flickering lamp, were Ryan and Leela. For a second, I thought I was imagining things, the universe playing some cruel joke. But no, it was them. Asterisk. Their faces told stories their words never could. Leela looked thinner, her once perfect hair dull and lifeless. Ryan's shoulders were slumped, his expensive suit worn out, the confidence that once defined him gone. They looked empty. Asterisk. For a long moment, none of us spoke. The noise from the event faded into a hum behind me. It was just the three of us, standing on opposite sides of a memory that could never be repaired. Asterisk. Ryan took a hesitant step forward. Ava, he whispered, voice shaking, you look incredible. Asterisk. I smiled faintly. Thank you. Asterisk. He glanced back at Leela, who stood silently, eyes downcast. We lost everything, he said finally. The investors dropped us. The contracts vanished. No one wants to work with us now. We can't even get a job in the industry anymore. Asterisk. I nodded. That's how karma works. It doesn't shout. It arrives quietly when you least expect it. Asterisk. He looked at me with pleading eyes, as if waiting for forgiveness. I know we hurt you, Ava, but we were stupid. We thought. Asterisk. I cut him off softly. You thought you could build something real from something stolen. Asterisk. He flinched. Leela's eyes filled with tears. But I couldn't feel pity. They had destroyed too much of me to deserve that. Asterisk. I stepped closer, my voice calm but firm. You know, Ryan, I used to think revenge meant making the other person suffer, but now I understand. True revenge is peace. I didn't need to ruin you. You did that yourselves. Asterisk. He looked down, his hands trembling. I loved you once, he murmured. Asterisk. And then you loved ambition more. I replied. Asterisk. For a moment, the wind carried the scent of rain, faint and familiar. Like that night, I discovered his betrayal. I took a deep breath, letting go of the last fragments of anger still clinging to me. Asterisk. I hope you find yourselves again someday, I said finally. Not for me, not for each other, but for the parts of you that got lost when you started chasing what wasn't yours. Asterisk. And then, I turned away. Asterisk. As I walked back toward the glowing lights of the expo, I didn't look back. I didn't need to. Some stories deserve no sequel. Asterisk. Inside, the audience still buzzed with excitement, calling my name. Cameras flashed as I stepped into the hall, the host announcing, ladies and gentlemen, the woman who reminded us that art can rise from betrayal, Ava Carter. Asterisk. The applause was deafening, but all I could hear was the quiet in my heart, the peace of knowing I had survived, not just survived, transformed. Asterisk. After the event, a young designer approached me backstage. Ms. Carter, she said nervously, you're such an inspiration. How did you keep going after everything? Asterisk. I smiled, remembering the girl I once was, naive, trusting, broken. Because, I said softly, I realized they didn't steal my talent. They only borrowed my storm. Her eyes widened, and I walked away before she could reply. Later that night, alone in my hotel room, I opened my sketchbook. My hand moved without thought, sketching flames turning into wings. Beneath it, I wrote a single line. Some fires burn you, others forge you. Asterisk. Outside, the city glowed under the moonlight. Somewhere out there, Ryan and Leela were probably wandering, haunted by their own choices. I didn't hate them anymore. I didn't need to. Their punishment was already written in the silence between their failures. Asterisk. I closed my sketchbook and smiled. Not coldly this time, but peacefully. The past had ended. The future was mine. Asterisk. He gave my design to his lover, thinking it would make him shine, but in the end, it only lit the match that burned them both. Asterisk. Because when you steal light from someone who was born from darkness, you only end up blinding yourself. Asterisk.